다 전부 쓰는 답을 여러 지라고 그래 답지 맞아 얘는 좀 답이 좀 참. 얘네 대해서 대망고 이래. 어디는 취도 빠지죠. 그래서 제가 뭐想一啊，想一些吧。哦呀，当然是可来，现在专门留个人送的。Gradually getting underway, then at one point we will arrive. Jomdende shen sheba dra jomba yanda bar zobe sangye reba dan shasu temba devara sheba jiten kemba gewe duwe kalu yurwa lana meba lada menam ge tomba sangye jomdende peje wo shagya tuba la chaza lo chozo gyaza je wo deba jomdende de shen sheba dra jomba yanda bar zobe sangye reba dan shasu temba devara sheba jiten kemba gewe duwe kalu yurwa lana meba lada menam ge tomba sangye jomdende peje wo shagya tuba la chaza lo chozo gyaza je wo deba jomdende de shen sheba dra jomba yanda bar zobe sangye reba dan shasu temba devara sheba jiten kemba gewe duwe kalu yurwa lana meba lada menam ge tomba sangye jomdende peje wo shagya tuba la chaza lo chozo gyaza je wo kanze kanyi zo ke tamze sa je de la gomba dumburne mane je de na cho je zon de ze ke ba gyo la chaza nanda gongwa chodu zu zangwa yu she gya zu se ge rumbo ra taba je de sona la me wa gongbo kyu ni ke la chaza senjo tenpa jime dawe sha senpo trawa ke la chaza yura kyunra sipa suma chi nyame kinjin ke la chaza gombo tuje che tenpa tamje kimbe tongpa bo sona yende gyatso jin de jin she la chaza lo tabe teja trewa gyur gewe nye son le ro jin che go danga che gyur ba shi gyu je la chaza lo trone trove la yang den la ba na la rab ne che je dangpa yin den de gindu la yang chaza lo deba jiyang me ja shin ge wa pun sum tso bar ki rangi sene yong su nu tene sangye tenpa yin kama rabi ma me dang gyu ma sebo chu hur dang me lang lo dang tin dang bu nu je chu nang de dar da sono de tham je se ba yi ko pon tu ne kyun gen ra de kada na dan chi we lap chu be si be so le ro wa ra sho. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When the supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, Color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, three worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one God's thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient being attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the full faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by waves of aging, sickness, and death.
Aba kunjo sumla cha ze lo dige dagi toba tujin chonden de jebe go jago pombo re lange longe gende jembo dan chanju sembe gende jembo dan ta chidu shuso de ze chonden de zamo na wa je jawe cheje nanda ge dengen ze la nyubro shuso ya de ze chanju semba semba jembo baba jene ze wanju shera ge barudu jemba samo jeba nila namba tashin bumbu ngabo de dala yara ringi tombara nambara tao ene sanji ji tu sedan demba sharibu janju semba semba jembo baba jene ze wanju wanju la dige je me
wanju ki wanju la
Dige jemeso rigi bu ganla la shera ge baru de jimba samo sheba jeba deba de jidara la barcha dige jeme badan janju semba semba jambu baba jere se wanchu ki sedan demba shara da debula dige jemeso shari bu rigi bu mu ganla la shera ge baru de jimba samo sheba jeba deba de didara nambara tawara jade kumbo teda laya rashingi tombara nambara yanda ba jesu tao su tombo tomba ye su 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 le tomba ye shema ye tomba ni le kyang su shema ye te shen do su wa dan du she dan du je dan nambara sheba nang tomba Charibu de da je dam je tomba ni de sini me ba ma je ba ma ga ba tima me ba tima dan tewa me ba ga wa me ba o Charibu de da we na tomba ni la su me so wa me du ji me na ba she ba me mi me na wa me na me che me lu me yi me su me ja ji me ro me de ja me che me do me je ka me ba ne yi je ka me Ije nambara shebe kanje bado yame to mareba me mareba seba kashi sebe bado yame to dejen do dunge wadan kunju wadan go wadan lame toba me ma toba yame to sharibu de dawa na chanju semba na toba me be shiraje baru to chimbala teje ne de semla treba me jen traba me de shendo dene nyangele debe tarra chendu du sundu nambara shube sangye tamje gyan serar ge baru du shimba tene lana meba yanda bar zobe janju du ngombara zobar sangye so dava shera ge baru de shimbe nga riva shimbe nga lana mebe nga minyamba da nyambe nga dunge tamje radu shivar chebe nga Nizube na dembara shebar chade sheroge baru do jembe nga me bataya ta gade para sangade buddhi so sheribu janju samba jembo de da sheroge baru do jembo samola labar chao dene jomde tenge zende
le de janju sambo jumbo baba jere se wanju la le zo che jawa che ne le zo rige bu de shin no de shin de dara je tembo shin do shera ge paru do shin ga samo la je bara ja de shin se ba nam yang je se ro chon de ge che ka se ne se dam tembo shere da de bu da janju sambo jumbo baba jere se wanju da tam je da dembe furu de da la da me dan hama yi dan sara che be ji de yi ran de jon de je sum ba la no re te do. Page 11. Thus I have heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir on Vulture's Peak, together with a great assembly of monks and bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examined all phenomena called profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, "How should those of good family learn who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond?" Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, "O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond should look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, emptiness is no other than form, form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, formations and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karmic formations, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to, there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all bodhisattvas hold to the wisdom gone beyond. And because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond falsities, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times, by relying on the wisdom gone beyond, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, most perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, the unequaled and unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering, should be known as the truth. For there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed. Hayata, Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhi Swaha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn the profound wisdom gone beyond. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, very good, O son of good family, it is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the noble Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. So ends the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom gone beyond. 남림에 시에바다 튠베 아니다 남림 고랑게 시제 탈도 아니 남림 타마되나 아니 시내다 파동 다치는 신에다 파동세야겠다. 곰기 탈고 곰투야기 차진 어디 된다는 것도 다 가르치고서는 신의 별이기 때문에 아니 띵이지 로당한테 시작이 요소로지.
Allow us now to begin the Sunday introductory lecture in Patadharma, which takes as its topic the great stages on the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, taking this text as our point of departure then, and not proceeding in sequence, but rather turning immediately to the most critical topic, that is meditation and the conditions which support meditation. And in this way, remaining consistent with the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, we look to the ultimate achievement in wisdom and understanding, that is the achievement of shamatha, calm abiding, that is the ultimate objective to a meditation, and turn our attention to the supportive conditions for achieving shamatha, calm abiding, illustrated in this image, which is a presentation of the system of samadhi, mental absorption, and part of our ongoing explanation of this.
이다 만나도다 곰잡이야. 너무 곰잡 마투야기 치돌라. 아니 곰 땡에 진 두야라 바지 치돌라. 당아도 가지 예방아스 장가 잡사 예방아. 다티네 예방아디 마세 세야 탑들라 님부두지 게스. 장가 게스 듯이 잡사. 일단 님부터 어쨌든 예방아치 뭐야 보면서 안디가 님부두지 게디 뭐송. 나디 밖에 간다 땡이지 곰마도야 예바티당 예바디바 세야게 님부두지 게디 예바도 타모 총장님 마소나 배 총장님이나 총장 말사 거라 어디 쳐들 해서
All right. Then when one is incapable of meditation, when the 5 faults which prevent success and mental absorption, samadhi, are present, and those 5 we have indicated, then the 8 treatments to those 5 faults, 2 we have indicated. So there are 5 interferences or 5 faults preventing success in samadhi, and 8 treatments or antidotes to apply to these. One would identify these clearly. These are like your initial capital in your business venture.
세다 대인들 당아서 단다 배당아서 낭추 모두 시작이 민 낭추 모두 낭추 모두 세야디 하고 최다 제 맞에 세야기 계제디 또다 꿀롱다 저 전부 차이디 다 꿀롱부터는 수수기 찍다 간다르 냠내 제야디 최수 그러다 만들어 세야기 참디 간다 꿀롱을 저 이거 이디 꿀롱부터는 수수기다 삼로 땅체네 아니 꿀롱을 봐 먹고 저다 네 수수 가리 배나 꿀롱 쥐당 삼로 땅게 있는 세디기 디기 삼로 땅의 꿀롱 쥐에 열에 세치막이 디기를 삼로 땅의 꿀롱 쥐에 열에 그 동네를 타래가 치도로네 꿀롱 쥐에 열에 아니 지다 배 디투 탐지 야 동네 탐지 세트와도 대화 탐지 두투야기 아니 봐 다들 장주고 생기습니다 꿀롱 사들 꿀롱 쥐나를 봐 먹고도 어떻게 뜻이 먹고 잡사를 해서
And so then when the present lecture is an introductory lecture in Patadharma, and when we express it in that way, that has to do with whether an activity is in fact related to Patadharma or is not, which is dependent upon one's intention. Therefore, there are the numerous exercises having to do with the refinement of the intention, which determines whether the activity is authentically dharma or not, as it is intention dependent. And we reflect upon this and identify the many stages involved in refinement of the intention, including an intention limited to happiness in this life, or an intention to enjoy pleasures in subsequent lives, or an intention to liberate oneself from samsara, or the intention to achieve the totality of well-being and separate oneself entirely from pain and sorrow, thus the many stages in refinement of an intention.
도시 세상 당한서 빈뒤다 고체 신예기네 굴ung죄야 최니예지네 굴ung죄 니요레 다체 굴ung죄도 잡았다 간다 간다가랑서 진짜 뛰던 저와 유베 토는 굴ung죄 버터지 이마이나 아니 맞아 간대시오 고요래서나 랑 동에 미드바 대와 되바티 벨라체 이나시 신 우다야 유니기스가 소자 간대주버 이나 대탐제로 대와 되바 동에 미드바 직바래 제자사 아주 강가 미 삼루 당당 직바래 제자 강가로 동에 미드바다 대와 되바 디치돌라 아니 동에 세와다 대와 토게 탑 예배게 아니 다 간다라 바게 람들이 냠내 체네 제부들이 토바 치기 삼바기다 굴ung들이 삼로지 쥐어봐이나 자유게 생기심에 굴ung들이 쥐어봐레스 일단 굴ung 쥐장 다체 토도 자기 열에서
The lecturer must refine their intention. The listener must refine their intention. Both parties must refine their intentions. There are both sets of intention. And involved in the refinement of the intention, when it is in connection with the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, what precisely is required? What is required is that, taking ourselves as the illustrative example of how it is we wish for well-being and to avoid pain, we know too that this is the intention of all breathing beings, to avoid pain and to find well-being. And when this is our attitude, and when this is our recognition and objective, and we recognize the commonality in this way, then the pursuit of the means for eliminating pain and achieving well-being through the practice of the path to the consequence of the path, that is the final result. When we commit ourselves to this progression, this is our refined intention, and it is to direct our activities under the guidance of bodhicitta, and it is quite elevated.
세상다 말한다 간다 제바 최소 송왕승이 저러다 제바 간다 최년바 최셰바 안에서 검자바 안에 수수가 루마 예수고 저바 최소 좋아승이디 다 굴ung다 저와 요바인디 아니 맞아 들은 진짜지에 최소 좋아지게 탑도 굴ung도 저바도 셰바래 아니 굴ung도 저거래 최년바디 근데 미유디디 지기도이 안 디지도게 냠내디디 지기 근데 지도가 쇼스다 간다 된데기 굴ung 줘야지 맞아 가르쳐봐도 제마 수수를 취수도 말도 취수 들어가 보고 열어와 되게 지도라니 굴ung 줘도 셰바래서
And now, as has been said, an action would become authentically dharmic, and the actions are to lecture in Buddha Dharma, to listen in Buddha Dharma, to cultivate the Buddha Dharma, so that all are authentically dharmic, and this is intention dependent, and therefore we would ensure that our actions are authentically dharmic by proceeding through the refinement of our intention, so that it is our objective that our actions be authentically dharmic, and we commit ourselves. I will ensure that they're authentically dharmic. Let me do so that they are authentically dharmic. Whatever I do, may this become authentic dharma. And so we do so with recognition that this is dependent upon our intention.
장주구셈 전담에 장주구셈도 군족 장주구셈 세대다 가서 말하고 곰지함에 털두고 톱제티 차대요. 이게 치도라 아니 다 땡이지 곰구고요래. 아니 땡이지디 귤에 깨가 치도라 아니 뭐도 차진디 고고요래. 오 되게 됐다 되시게 무시들에서.
These then are introductory remarks describing the refinement of an intention before listening and lecturing in Padadharma, and is preparatory to the actual undertaking of Dharma. So then that portion of the lecture is behind us, this preparatory part. And what is and where is actual Dharma going on? Just as we reflect upon the refinement of the intention, too, we reflect upon the ultimate objective to cultivation and meditation, which is the development of conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. These are the ultimate products of cultivation and meditation. That cultivation and meditation requires the exercise of mental absorption, Samadhi, and in order to develop mental absorption of Samadhi, there are supportive conditions which concern us now.
대화다 된데 근데 대마디 다그치 선별 하삼 숨기 아니 규 제발라 때니 깨비 대부 장주고 셈스기데 고조 장주고 셈들 해서
One must necessarily call bodhicitta of two kinds. That bodhicitta, the mind of awakening, which is the practice, and that which is the ultimate result of that practice, namely then conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. That conventional bodhicitta is the desire to part beings from pain and sorrow, to endow beings with satisfaction and well-being. It is the altruistic spirit that is given rise to in one's mind.
난 장주고 셈스기데 최단지 내룩 무슨도 또봐 최는지 내룩 탈도봐 셴바 아 디나네 아니 랑기 류다 셈 류기 내룩 셈기 내룩 쳔 디나네 셈기 내룩디 탈시바 셈 코랑기 셴바 셈 코랑기 내룩디 셈 코랑기 셴바 오 된제기 셴베기 셈 탈도 되나 아니 전남 장주고 셈스 오 민다기 어레소
Isn't lugi and lugi and tarchimba sheba?
류지 내룩 탈침바다 셈기 내룩 탈침이 여와
And
이 나는 자다 유기 내룩 탈침바다 유쟁이 내룩 탈침이 여와 제자때 디나는 유쟁이 내룩 탈침바 셈 내룩 셈 코랑기 내룩 셈 코랑기 셰마 셈다 셈기 내룩이가 타데메바 찍도 셰바 잡아대 아니 단담 자주 그 셈스밍 다 그래
similar lu and niga tade meba.
맞는 셈기 내룩다 셈이 다도면
That's other.
셈 코랑 셈노 루이드 것 루이드 셈이 바카같이 그런 류기 내려오던 세미네로 니어봐. 이 난에 저 탈침 뭐 시행과 세미네로지. 세미네로 돼. 세미코랑게 세미코랑 내로 시행과 정수나. 근데 또 난 전혀 없어. 야 동네 메시지.
The ultimate awakened mind of bodhicitta is the realization of the ultimate nature of all phenomena, the actual nature of both mind and body in actuality. There are the object and the object cognizer. That mind, which is the object cognizer, taking itself as its own basis, would recognize its own ultimate nature, and that itself is recognized by the mind itself in the indivisible unity of shunyata and great bliss emptiness, and that is ultimate awakened mind of bodhicitta.
뭐야, 당도 냠내체가 탈토버게 찬주sem 니세도 모두도 살. 다 된대게 배 탈침버게 찬주sem 땡에지 탈치버게 산주sem 니 줄라 깨발라 다 람나 칸데슬라 그래. 그래라. 아니 라비아가 탑디 아니 다 리몰 때네 다 장아 요바지 다 빼준 시기 요래서 맞지.
The two ultimate fruits of practice, then, these conventional awakening mind of bodhicitta and ultimate awakened mind of bodhicitta, brought about by, through the consummation of mental absorption, samadhi, brought to completion itself. Now we refer to the illustration here, which indicates how one trains to bring about the completion of mental absorption. And now, won't you refer to this illustration which we have humbly presented to you?
Oh, yeah. 따이게 니만 권만 시기는다 타니야 시시하게 예송했어.
Alla tanemar, gongnemar,
권만
아니,
표현에 맞지는 막 그래 대시 잡샤게 예송했어.
And now I will proceed from the heights backwards to indicate the rewards first.
야, 근데 이동 가서 얘기 리모트기 얘기 권만 네 당고 랑무체 간라 쉔 카말로드게 지도와 자들 배 자선내가 남도 이 인일을 그대죠 카말로드게 딜 가르쳐 버렸으나 다 곰겸네 타투네 뺐다 신의 법찬에 딱 하동 법고기 여바다 아니 타만 하동게 더네 신의 개발도 봐봐 하동고 더네 아니 다 제봉고도 제고기 여바가 배선 때버려서
Now, looking to the top of the illustration, where we find an elephant and an elephant turned around, facing backward, and rainbow light in 5 colors. When we see this, what is it we are shown? We are shown that here the ultimate accomplishment of meditation is this achievement of shamatha, calm abiding, and this has been achieved, yet more is involved. Necessarily, special insight, vipassana, must now be achieved, and that depends on the first achievement of this shamatha.
Oh, yeah, that in the Yablo de Lambucin, Yablo de la Mesh Barter Sidua. Oh, Medi Bartel, the Harasanata, Shine Topsane, Hadon Labiala, and this Bezuchi Guyuba. Kolean, Mixage Labuyuba, Tsungu, Resonus.
And behind that elephant, which has turned about, we see there a fire blazing, and that indicates that shamatha achieved yet requires more in order to lead to the achievement of the special insight of vipassana. To achieve that, further effort is required. A special additional effort is required.
Oh, Shine Topsadu, and Lega Sarta, the Mayba, Shine Topsane, young, Shine the Yargetan Guyuba, Tichidula, Mixage, Shine Chabarji, Hadon singing Tobu Guyuba, Tilayata, Kandar, Desian, Kale Tube Jagu Yuba, Lobson, Sawa Che Yuba, or the Temper Esonos.
While shamatha has been achieved, yet one has not completed their project, their shamatha must be improved. The extraordinary state of shamatha, that is special insight of vipassana, now must be additionally accomplished through additional effort and study.
Tini Ma Yonjin, Gelon, language Ya Kalone, language Kala Shun, Dini, La Caresana, Di, Dan, Lu Xinjiang, Temperes, Lu Xinjiang, Xine, Tarsimba Tobne, Dan, Lu Xinjiang, Lu Xindu Jiang, Toba Temperes.
And moving downward, we find the bhikshu mounted on the elephant, which indicates with the achievement of shamatha, the accompanying achievement of physical pliancy. This indicates the physical pliancy that results from an achievement of calm abiding shamatha.
Oh, yeah, that the gang de la to go Jasun to La Walkin, Pig the use to the same Xinjiang Temperes.
And above this, the bhikshu holding rainbow-colored cloth and levitating indicates that the achievement of shamatha, calm abiding, one has achieved their mental pliancy.
Oh, yeah. That Xinjiang, Lu Xinjiang, the same Xinjiang Singedi, that Karicha Yorson, Tajing also Tingi, Tobiala, that Parsi Tushu, Tambu, the Parsi Chishu did Lelo, Lelo taking Nimbu, and Xinjiang Singedi, that be Lu Xinjiang, same Xinjiang, what it is. Lu Xinjiang, the same Xinjiang, the kid, and Lelo, Bangs, Lelo Bang, and bed to do such a top side.
These two forms of pliancy that are physical pliancy and mental pliancy are the overcoming of the worst obstacle preventing success in samadhi, mental absorption, that is, namely, laziness. These two, physical and mental pliancy, are the antidotes, the treatment to that laziness, and where they are realized, then the ultimate achievement of zeal, of one's energetic discipline, has abandoned laziness.
Oh, yeah. That's the Dikatula, that's another Kariji Shengorsana. And that on the Xinjiang, the Jason Lu Xinjiang, same Xinjiang. That the Yamdo Lu Xinjiang, Dewatan, same Xinjiang, Dewas, Yamdo Yoreson.
here are indicated the two forms of pliancy, the physical pliancy and the mental pliancy, and there are accompanying these the satisfaction of physical pliancy and the satisfaction of mental pliancy.
어, 다 신장 이부티 당부 쌤 신장의 뭐라게 아니 류 신장 겨울. 다 신장의 대화디 당부 류 신장의 대화디게 아니 쌤 신장의 대화디 겨울에 손으시.
Of the two forms of pliancy, first, mental pliancy is achieved, followed by the achievement of physical pliancy. And it is first the satisfaction of mental pliancy that is experienced, followed by the satisfaction of physical pliancy.
다디 연답디 이내 톱 사교의 다 대시디 제발에 손으시.
So illustrated here are the results following accomplishment of shamatha kalmabhaya.
다 디네 마 용전다. 디네 마다 랑제 마nye 미 결혼데 마데 안디데 랑제 마녜데 요시도와 어디다 지네 마토 다 지네 토비하게 참 다셈 땡이진이야 지네 토비어 말이네 셈 땡이진 주게라 두술럽에 저와 먹고 라왕 유튜브 뒤차베 이네 지네 토비어 말 어디 삼을 레버해서
And now, going down further, we find the bhikshu mounted atop the recumbent elephant there, and this is the moment of being at the cusp of the achievement of calm abiding, shamatha, when one hasn't yet realized calm abiding, shamatha, but is on the cusp and can effortlessly and naturally absorb the mind in concentration.
디네 마요 라 결혼데 뭐라 치 랑제데 제라 치데 용이도 다디 아 땡인데 시네 토비알라야 아니 셈네타 구스 가진 것도 셈네타 구탕가 자임바 다 셈네타 구버디 침바 다 게버디 다 게버디다 구어 버루라 제발 가리요르스나 구어디 가둘라 셈 땡이들 네발 미벌 네발라 저와치는 고마라 라완파 무슨 가도 깨도고요 다 게버 가둘라 때 저와 제보고다 저와 셈 땡이들 바 미벌 바 두스 바 땅고고를 마땅나 고 내기가 말 어딘데 개발지어 해서
Moving downward, next we see the bhikshu leading the elephant there, indicating what is required for achieving shamatha, calm abiding, namely the 9 stages of placing the mind. And here is the 9th, different from the 8th, but how do they differ? In the 9th stage of placing the mind, no effort is required to engage the object of attention. The engagement is immediate. While during the 8th stage of placing the mind, some effort is required to engage the awareness with its object.
다 dumba anda goe kabdula sem mikbal peme hindu chubas sem suzu mikbal chuzu chigne go yine ra chuzu nima chigne go yine suzu pe ne tugu yiba ne bala zowa mogo ba o tendeche gebe kabdula sem mikbal ne du mate sikos samatan kulung che ani mikbal ta chagi shabas le tendes kuni paruda kebato des tendeji yore sonus.
The 9th stage of placing the mind is spontaneous and effortless, whether it is 1 hour of engagement or one day of engagement, one is able to abide in engagement with the object without effort. The eighth stage of placing the mind, though, requires some intention and application, the thought to engage itself with the object, and this is the difference between the ninth and the eighth stage.
Oh yeah, that in a Dumbadi, Dimba, the Temas, the Boa, Koran, the Shitty, Ming, come and chick the youth. The George was she was same stage to never chair bars. Come and chick you are. She didn't pay the court. I said it on the album.
And now to the seventh, and the seventh is this, but won't you wait one moment as we find the proper name for it, as
Oh,
it is
number
just
she
here.
was, number she was, Dumbadi.
And it is, the seventh is the thoroughly pacified placement of the mind.
Oh, that Dumbakadula, language in the Molache, Gelon the Jela, Yor, and language in Subuti, Kambak Tini, the Shugudi Nabuladua, oh, the Chundian carriers and us. Forget some new bullet never ya. So what Chiku Yuba Matse, Hola, and I came. 땡에들 내가 버지기 더보여 버지고서 유여받다 말다 이내 딱 걸어 한달 직 박장마 장냐 많이 받대스 지원도 고박이 뺏 내매용에 섬 더보여 오 된대도 유여받 천전라 나고 취주디 샤래서
In the seventh stage of placing the mind, we find the elephant leads the bhikshu. The elephant is in front of the bhikshu, and that elephant has a black portion of their rear hoofs and a black tail to indicate how it is that at this stage effort is required, as there is a lingering uncertainty involved in the mind's engagement with its object, whether torpor and excitement might not set in, and though they don't actually set in, there is a residual uncertainty, might they yet set in?
Oh yeah. 다디 제버드 주소다 dum바데 제버 버루다 예발라 치리기 치기 간다 친구기 뇌도 더버치는 요 말에 그 dum바가돌라 친구가 뇌 마요에서 때스 더버요도 딘리기 제버만도 제버요 말에 손스.
And now you are aware of what distinguishes the eighth stage of placing the mind from the seventh stage of placing the mind. In the eighth stage, there's no residual uncertainty having to do with a possible event of excitement or torpor. There's no uncertainty regarding them. They are absent. In the seventh stage, however, there is some uncertainty. Might a torpor or excitement not set in?
Oh yeah, that dine Ubodi direda number Shiva Chebas. Number Shiva Cheba delata Cardos young Gelondi Ngola de Lange de Jela Dua, Lange de Jela Yor, and Lange de Geta me Nagudua. Oh, Nago you do somebody? Chingugi. That kind of Chingwa Geta Chingugi, Guen the Jebase. Ani go Tana Gelondi Ngola. 내거디 고가르나 단도 콜 친구를 하대 여바다 친구기 내가 여바 참바래서.
And now in the sixth stage of placing the mind, this thoroughly pacified stage of placing the mind, what do we find there? We find the bhikshu leading an elephant whose hind end is black, indicating that at this stage there is torpor present, and the bhikshu leading in the forward position shows that that torpor is a leftover torpor that yet remains.
Oh, yeah. That didn't allocation. That is general and the shit going on. Okay, the Chihuahua, and that they caught the shit. I'll hop in the corner, remote, send it to Wuchi Madaya. My things about the menda. That was remote send it. That the order Nava de la Tuber Cheba said, ah, language in the Subuchega Kawache, Degan Rebunji Yobache. And it's Gelondigi, Mono Yobache, Gelondigi, Shabegi dos, Shabati Gil Damnia, Tangi to say. Any toa the call was my name, there was Dua, or remote the door. Oh, yeah, that Digadulata, Chembata Shishingi, Chembegi Sum, Shishingi Charache 제국이 열었어. 이나 양다 수부 체가 가오지 체가 나고 체고데 가르나 친구 락바 이 년가 요 말에 친구 상목이 년가 요 같대 말해서
All right, then, as I will explain the meaning of the illustration now, it will require again a subsequent reviewing of the illustration, because we're only going to move through it in a summary way and will not go into the full depth. So in the fifth stage of placing the mind there, next we see that the elephant is half white, and atop the elephant rides a rabbit, and leading the elephant turned around, facing the elephant, holding the lasso which they are using, and pressing the head of the elephant with the hook. The bhikshu is leading the elephant, and indicated here are the use of vigilant introspection to guard the mind, that is the hook, and mindfulness, that is the lasso, and that the elephant is half white and half black is to indicate that it is the subtle torpor, not the coarse torpor, that is present at this moment.
뭐야 다 비우디 이 제일 도와 비우디 제일 제가 도와 제단다 이 그봐 락바디 다 밤에와제 그봐 참모요 제단 대거도 딱 제가 적어야 돼 아니 정월 참모 그봐 정월 락바 그봐 락바 이당 정월 참모당 그봐 참모가 무슨 두고 열해서
The monkey follows after the elephant here to indicate that to indicate subtle excitement. The half white, half black forms here emphasize the need to distinguish between coarse forms of torpor and excitement and subtle torpor and excitement.
뭐야 딱 개론데 잡로들 뭐지 바르기도 매제 충아 바르데도 어디기 딱 가르스나 시신 네 전부다 시신 저와 지구고 배주 체니만도 배주 맞제바 아니 검투고 매바 땡기 열에서
And behind the bhikshu there is another small fire burning to indicate that the vigilant introspection and mindfulness that are required will only be brought about through an effort and an application without effort and application, there will not be the presence of the introspection and mindfulness required for the meditation.
그래서 주로지도다. 주버들이랑 저거 고고요. 매 근데 멜론디 와들 매스도한테 주버기 저거 고고요 같이. 다디 행동디 티디 매스도 디 나와들라 배정 저거 된 고고요. 어떻게 이걸 고 배정을 된 고고요. 어떻게 된 말해서.
And we might confuse the point conveyed here by the two fires. Both are indicating that in both the sixth stage of placing the mind and the fifth stage of placing the mind, effort and application are required.
Oh yeah. 다디 내 말도 내가 놓으시 다디디 행어를 시버도 ng어도서. Oh yeah, 다 시버들다 시버디. 다 시버디 never jobas 다 never jobas 생에디 가르스나 다 뷰디 ng어라 요래 랑보디 제라 요래 아니 간라저 본디 요래 아니 샤버디기 랑지 켈 주투 요래 아니 시신디 나볼 냐네 대 요래서
We've described the fifth stage of placing the mind, haven't we? All right, now we turn to the fourth stage of placing the mind, the close placement of the mind. And there we find the monkey leading the elephant with the rabbit atop the elephant. And we see the bhikshu holding the lasso and holding the hook.
Oh yes, 다 뷰디 ng어래서 다 이 뷰디 제서 다 뷰디 ng어라 알래요. Oh yeah, 다 단진디 아니 카마 랑부지 고디마 게론마 칼론 땡데도 오예 딱 전제 리모델 전제디 조 리모델 믹스에 가서 랑부지인데 카마로 되게 직시 뷰드 뭐라 이게 직시 오예 게론데 제일 되도 오 디스모델 또 레서
Here we find the monkey in front of the elephant, whereas in the next stage above, the elephant follows the monkey follows the elephant. So here the monkey leads ahead of the elephant. We see too that the elephant has turned its head backward toward the bhikshu, and that the bhikshu is following the elephant. So here at this stage, we see indicated three special features. First, it is the monkey, which is ahead of the elephant. Second, that the elephant's head is turned back toward the bhikshu. And third, the bhikshu follows the elephant.
Oh yeah, that view ng어라 요거 이제 잘했으나 생각나도 샘디 샘띵 샘 그게 미발람 슈치부 네마투가 가돌라 고바디 네바 첨부 제기 요바 고바 왕치부 고백이 샘라 빼 망보 샘 만네바 제발라 고박 슈치부 요바 선바 직체 아야 다 디네 갤롱데 젤 요바디 가레스나 다 간다고 샘 간다 그 냠림 미발라 주게라야 다 간다 저와 체네 미보 저와 친구 제고고 여봐 대체 랑보체데 마 체델로 바디 다 미발라 랑게 셈 미발라 네게 여봐 텐투고 여봐체 그래서 미발라 네두고 텐투고 여봐체 아니 데 갤론데 제일 요네 타바데 주데바디 템베게 아니 템베기 다 냠내 치고 이거 땡기 열어서
Why is it that here the monkey leads the elephant? It is to convey that at this stage, the mind, which would be engaged with its object is excited, and the excitement prevents the successful engagement of the mind with its object. Now, what about the bhikshu that follows behind the elephant? The bhikshu following behind the elephant conveys that at this stage, in order to engage the awareness with its object, effort and application, considerable effort and application are required. The elephant has turned its head backward, and this conveys that at this stage, awareness can engage its object and recall its object and see that the lasso is employed to convey that mindfulness must be implemented in order to engage the object.
Oh, yeah. 다 나바디다 시바디 바로 체벌 카리어스나 나바디기 시신기 내가 숙침부 치고 시신디기 고 저규디기 란지디 골도 냄데도 다고 셈디 내가 지기 되면 지기 믿으나 고 지기 매봐도 지기 유는 배다도 내기 유바 내가 제대 시신이다 시신기 내가 지기 요 땡기요 시베 가서도 또 템박이 토네 아니 셈 미발로 봐 내야 답 지기 유바 땡기요 레스폰스.
What differences characterize the fifth stage as different from the fourth stage? During the fifth stage, we see, don't we, that the bhikshu is plying their hook, plying vigilant introspection to monitor the mind. Is the awareness engaged with its object or is it not? Thus, vigilant introspection especially is functioning during the fifth stage, while during the fourth stage we see the lasso is employed, indicating that at this stage the awareness engages with the object through mindfulness.
Oh, yeah, that in it. 이제 숨발랜드 좁아서 랜드 좁아들라 rum을 개론 제라 여바 비우물 여바 랑젠디가 다기네 까우테스 용어 여바 강을 리본디 여바 제디가나 까우티 콜레 콜 까우 체데어디 이게 되서 뭐지바 열에서
Now we look to the third stage of placing the mind, the patching placement of the mind, where we find that the bhikshu trails the elephant, the monkey leads the elephant, the portion of the elephant, the portions that are white are less, the rabbit rides atop the elephant with only a white head. This we find here.
Oh, yeah, that 이들 때마다 가리가리 열어서나 지원들라 차라니 고바 차라니 대주 강아 다 강아들이 셈미벌 내비티 가둘라 랜드 조베 가둘라 대주 강아 용구 열에스 전부 직세 다 디나네 간다다 곤주고 고가고 차는 고지 고가고 차바데 가라스나 다 곤주고 셈 인와다 마인와 때 소르투고 열에스 아셈 미벌 내주 삼 내바 지고도 삼베 셈 밖에 미벌가는 샤샤바 저도 삼 아니 셈 인와다 마인와 다 거기 뭐시마 서로가 지기 열에 어디 집에 저들들 랑무체도 가도스 마치 말로가 들어서 것이
there are two forms to torpor, coarse and subtle, and two forms to excitement, coarse and subtle. At this stage, conveyed in the image, are the presence of all forms. While it is only the rabbit's head which is white. And what is the reason for this? This conveys that at this stage, with some engagement of the awareness with its object, one is capable at this stage of detecting or sensing whether the mind is distracted or is undistracted. As the awareness is engaged with its object, there is some recognition and some detecting and feeling whether the mind is distracted or is not. And so the elephant has turned its head and looks back.
이용하다 마이와 뭐심하지 다드네 니바디 균도 줘봐디 랑보친 신다케 말다 게론데 제라 요레 샤바탄 토아도 랑보친라 투요 말에 고난 랑바르케 되어마다 야마다 랑보친 뭐데 뷰디 아니 니가로 곧 고는마디스 가고 차되고 제 아니 랑보친데 뷰야 치루인도 도와 어디 다 가르쳐 랑보친데 디스 갈래 로데버 로지 천대 로지도 다 이게 가르쳐 왔다 고박에 뒤뒤마다 샘 고축 차네다 샘 바미발에 샤두디 아니 고박에 샘 만에 받체네 치두고 요바티 청구요 해서
So that's the way it is at this stage, that there is now a sense detecting whether the mind is distracted or is undistracted. Now moving downward to the stage of continuous placement of the mind, we find that the bhikshu is well behind the elephant, which is led by the monkey. And there's no application of the introspection or mindfulness. The lasso and the hook are merely held by the bhikshu in their hand. The monkey leads the elephant, and this conveys that as they are going along at the outset of meditation and the awareness is placed on its object, excitement distracts the mind, preventing successful engagement.
뭐야 다 골레스 가고 차바디 아니 샘 mikbala 파스 다시 데스 디스 균투는 샤 투고 요바 mikbala 샤 투고 요바랑 템바 되게 청구요 해서
But the patch of white, the small patch of white, indicates that at this stage, when the awareness is placed on its object, there is just a bit of continuity sustained by mindfulness.
뭐야 mikbala 내기 올 때야 균투는 내 마투어디 고바게 아니 내 마투어 지기 요바디 이제 천주 권을 셔버나 해서
So while there is some engagement with the object, the interruptions to what would be a continuous engagement are interruptions caused by excitement.
당보디다 샘 낭도 줘봐 사 당보 고점사 들어 고점사 셈낭도 줘 봤어 딜러 좀 가르쳤나 랑보 첸데베 하장기 주되죠 라한천에 매주 주되죠 도시 아니 배우디 되고는 되게 나시 배 랑보진 나시 배 처음에 배 간데 배 랑보진 연바 주고는 주되죠 아니 배우디 배 하장 남 필요 도시도 네게 가르친 거였으나 다 당보 가는데 셈 마시 곰 당보 고주도 셈디 아니 랑보체 연바다 자와 앞장에 배 요거 트러버 되게 미 선대치기 요래 손었어.
Now down to the first stage of placing the mind, that is the internal placement of the mind, which is the very beginning of meditation. And there we find that the elephant and the monkey are charging ahead in a dead sprint, leaping ahead. The elephant, a mad charging elephant, and behind the bhikshu. And this conveys that at the beginning of the meditation, the mind is yet entirely unpacified. It is like a mad elephant at this stage.
허야 다네 메트룩 되고디 메제트룩 되고디 딱 안다 쏘와 당보 낭도 셈네도 당분이와 숨바도 줄라 쏘와 하장 침부 된 거고 되네요 쏘와 침부 마데나 쏘와 충충 침 된데 전대지도 메트룩 메 침부 춘지 주티도 디체 다디네 안도 셈 비우디 셈 고바촌도 고바디 안도 셈 고바다 나미디 셈 안도 셈 인사 셈 베스 나도 듀마투와 칠로로 프로토야디 딱 거쳐서 유 거투고요레스 그래서 뭐 다들 전전라 얘기 기이들 막 강간들 멜론지 디 강들 로모지제 디워들 다 디도 이 바주들 봉지나라 줄루시도 디티 티천데 아니 되어도 다르장 천데도 다르장디 레제 천데 아니 와와들 신도죠 신도 거의 술들 신도도 로천데 시간 대응하디 맞고 셈디 대응할 인사 거인 것은 대응할 인거래 소라스
되어도 아니 신도 아니
술들
되어도
네네 어디
되어도
신도도 그렇지
알았어요.
수정어도 다 다르장도 어디
동그 알았어. 딕션. There are 6 fires burning, and they begin as massive fires there alongside the first 3 stages of placing the mind, to convey that during these first 3 stages, considerable energetic discipline is required, and then gradually the size of the flames is reduced to convey that less is required in energetic discipline. Then in meditation, excitement distracts the mind, causing the mind to take flight outwardly to external sense objects, which prevent it from dwelling internally. And those sense objects are indicated along the middle of the image, beginning at the top, the mirror, symbol of visible forms. Beneath the mirror are symbols, symbol of audible sound. Beneath this, the silk and fabric symbol of physical texture. Beside that, the pile of fruits, symbol of flavors. Excitement distracts the mind, and awareness toward the external sense pleasure symbolized here.
Oh, yeah. that the young are the same in what the toy you were another. To do toy now, that you want machine by your more trouble. I think also tea so zeba. I need the Roshimba, Raja Jamba, the Leondi, the Chago, Toa Leongre, and the Su Mezebada, Romishimba, Raja Suba Leona, and Kondo Toa Leon, thing on the Toana, Moma Suba Yomara, Sedang on the same Insadela, the young Amado Shimba, Yama, the young are the same ink, same protocol resource.
The interpreter corrects himself to include the conch shell that is filled with fragrant water for the fifth sense pleasure. Then distraction and the objects of awareness for a distracted mind that are these sense pleasures, sense objects, are apparent enough and easily recognized for us. It is known to us that when we encounter a beautiful object, we are attracted to it. But when we meet an unattractive object, we feel an aversion. That when we taste something flavorful, pleasantly flavorful, we enjoy it. When it is an unpleasant flavor, we feel an aversion. That this is the case, we know very well. There are only these sense objects of these kinds.
Oh, yeah, that's a Migbala part. We are got somebody, and I didn't forget sim, that Migbala ne tuba. Katat, Dibadulata, Dipadulata, Kanda Chig, never you never tangy, never change the so serious. Chiwa the Gobani Rota, Chiwa the Gobani di Tunde de la Piutan Buni Tizwan. That dig go Chiwa the Gobani Sag Tab de la Temba the Shishin Yero, Temba the Shishin and the Tunde Remodi that Midi Laval Kitty Yogi. Jagu did that. Shabati Modi, Shabati, Temba Tunde, Jagu digi, Shishin Tunde or Resons.
And so it is with following from the first engagement of the awareness with the object of meditation and proceeding onward. In the meantime, during this process, the principal interference to success in meditation are torpor or sluggishness and excitement. And they are vigilant introspection and mindfulness that treat our remedy to that torpor, sluggishness, and excitement. And so it is the person here carries the lasso symbol of mindfulness and the hook symbol of vigilant introspection.
Okay, remove tone deshe, remove kurang kadu deshe digidi, ta diba diga samsha. Ta ngazo dine remove dil tane su ta remove la tane samju da toba yuba yore. Ani ngazo odishi to tiwa tine che tuzu shagi yinso.
The explanation then, based upon the illustration here, of what is involved in meditation in shamatha, calm abiding, may be concluded here. And if there are any thoughts having to do with it or doubts having to do with it, they may be addressed in the Q&A that we open now.
that. 그 고민 제도에서 맞다 이 상당히 매직 하고 쌤 마시바네 지금 제마 쌤 시외 봐도다 냠내 지나 림바 시에 봐도 제단다 디 거기 치료 리모트 섬도 마다 제다 수수 쌤 수자네 아니 냠내 림바 키토가 그래 소노스
What's necessary is for each person to refer to themselves as the meditator who begins themselves in a state of mental disquiet and proceeds in this way finally to a state of mental peace and would apply the explanations to themselves.
뭐예 난 가만 가시 저 같은 하나 양행해 소노스
So then I leave a few additional minutes for our Q&A.
뭐예 더 보이나 다만 저거 최고로 소노스
Have any doubts that there are, we've got to take them up as topics for debate.
야 알았어 몰라 딱이 저 소노스 몰라 딱이
Taking a look at the illustration, come up with some questions.
야 그래서 그 ቁጫ가 시료디 그래서
Thank you. So you said that the conch had scented water and that was referencing the fifth sense pleasure. Are also sense pleasures ordered, like first sense pleasure, second sense pleasure, in terms of excitement or desire?
나든에 아니 동카르기 나와라니 치마심보 아니 루샤과데 게시게 직송바로 다드네야 아니 디 드영하기 나네 아니 슈첼르기 개발디 여르베 디 아니 더차기 슈첼르기 개발된데 여르베 렘바 된데 여르베 아니 담보디 뉴어
말마 디쌤 이야 숙철로 깨져요 말해서 다 간제 가서 공부 공연 남시 여러와 공부 공원 남시 미기 차바 제사기 밀을 때는 차바 제야디 도를 때 제로 제가 네 춘두지도 melon디 속이 춘두에 동구나는 추출루교디 되게 중요한 주바 정말 심보 아주 대단한 되고 당고마이는 동반을 등산데 아주 모tor링 좀 떨어들어왔어 어디 지마 춘두에 배트 중 어디 가서 동바두기 내다 시에 단계 내다 아주 미지여로 로자 춘두에 어디 로제디 자 아무 드라기 토는 자녀 버터도 잡아지 라마녀 버터도 아니 도와지기로 다디네 신도 되는 로춘들 로 심버 초소는 잡아지 로마 심버 초소는 당와지기로 아니 레제 잠버 레스는 랑 잡아지기로 라고 레제 주벌레스는 당와지기로 오잖아 치중기 제법 말에 공부 유럽 봐 인도도 좀 칼리스 인사 가을 잉그리스도 공부 공강하는 인도를 zul라 잉그리 달라 잉그리 틸레 잉 롤레 잉 어디 뜻이 저기 요래서
There's no gradation in the intensity of the attachment associated with these objects of the sense faculties. What is indicated by these are the objects of the sense faculties. The mirror is symbol of the visual forms that are the object of the faculty of vision. And the conch filled with perfumed water is the symbol of the fragrances. And these days we have colognes and perfumes and bottles, but these that are the object of the olfactory faculty. And there are drums that are played or cymbals that are played. In any case, these are sounds that are the object of auditory faculty. When we hear a melody, we appreciate the melodiousness. When we hear something discordant, that causes an aversion. Similarly, when we taste something that is pleasantly flavorful, we appreciate it. When it is of a bad sort of flavor, that causes us an aversion. The same for abrasive textures that cause aversions compared to smooth texture, which we appreciate. These are objects of our sense faculties. These are the visual forms and the sounds and the flavors and the like. And others, let's see.
So, like, what can I do when I'm feeling depressed, complacent, or, I mean, those to me seem like fervor, and then sometimes I feel fear when I'm in the meditation. For when I'm sitting. So what can I do to sort of bring in, the hook and the lasso?
더 뻗치기사기도 예 가르치가 배나 아니 이묵 기나스디 밥네 양면아디 첼라 마첼라 기참라 아니 레로기 왕기 탁초보치네 만로에기 참델라니 레네 써보셔서 다 데다 이묵 아니 이묵대 아니 징화기 낭세 라보치기를 직접 아니 근데야 아니 곰디 말되네 곰기압도 담블라 직tra 아니 계기도 남자 계기도 남자 계네 가르체가 아니 얘기 아니 샤파당 짜큐 네가 디 간레스텐고
changi 지금 초방 뭐지 들어와서 저 초방 뭐지 또 이내 단다 지나 이무 세대다情况 라바 그情况 참모 세대 가서 미벌 셈가로 템포 샤차는 만도 情况 참모 연금 말 情况 라바데 다 간다를 아무 고점도 연금 말 셈가로 내산 단단 가서 디 리모델 제바이나 랜드 조바스 숨바데 말레바도 당분이 벌 리모데 미도와 메두 잠바 情况 레고요 말스 다 숨바네 지는 情况 레고요 왔다 지금 다시 잡서 그래서 情况 생데 셈 메벌 바도 바템보 제 가로샤 아니 한 샤마도 제 권에 샤도 잠바 情况 레고요 돼서
There are many parts to your question. First related to depression or complacence and whether it is an instance of torpor. Recognize that torpor sets in only later in the process. Only after some engagement of the mind with its object, and only after passing through the first two stages of placing the mind. You do see that during the first two stages, the rabbit does not yet make an appearance. Only there in the third does the rabbit appear. That is only after some stabilized placement of the mind repeatedly does any torpor set in.
다들 전혀 처음에 도서 봄 잡들이 잠아 셈나 됐어. 즉 마대와도 아니 지 남자 지라든데 이 용거를 쌤 간다 땡이지는 곰 접세야 땡이지 곰세디 내라고지 말했어 내라고지 말고 쌤 가로지 수수를 바탕 쌤 그래서 버짐 레로를 님부슈 가로 마데나 고 간다 곰 접투도 우마로와 제가 매번 인도 당부 곰 고수도 잠만에 지는 고 쌤날 마대와 아니 쌤날 직박에 남자 지라 용하디 다 망고 열에서
Then your question regarding the anxiety, the discomfort involved in meditation, these will come along, be a part of meditation. In meditation, in mental absorption, it is not at all easy. The mind has to release itself and concentrate. And therefore, starting out in this, there will be fear and anxiety involved.
배나 좀바지 좀바네 좀바 강바지나 다셔도 아니 꼭 강바디나는 대디도 좀 다고 강바디네 치료 탈에 요마로 거든 부주도 보지 대고로 와 어디로다 간다 곰쟁이 생데 고 셈니 간다 쪽배 그게 좀바 강바지나는 주바나시 아니 수수게 셈니 간가 쪽 뒤니 미고 찍가봐 게리 샤고 요로 왔어 제가 고 당보 고미도 좀바 강바 정하나래 다발에 미고를 내야 돼. 그 지고도 들기는 미고를 내야 돼. 데스 칼에 카가도 열해서는
가래.
미고를 내야 돼.
데레
미고가 샤티.
관.
좀바티.
아니?
좀바티 고 정하나 강바지는 나기로 와.
아니?
다니 밖에 두스타스 대야 딜레. 셈 미고를 두시는 밖에 샤죠로 와. 어디 당보 다 데스 셈날 곰에서 깔래 가고 요래 셈날이야 직다 이외니 이 파지 망고 요도 이제 전화 요래 제단고 내라고 요만 깔래 가고 요래서
When a prisoner is bound and imprisoned, it is an oppressive experience. And when the mind, as is illustrated, is occupying itself, as it were, inside a building where it wouldn't exit, but would remain indoors, placed and engaged in its object, that to be engaged in a single object is more difficult than to be bound and imprisoned, as the mind begins with no familiarity with that experience and is beset by many distractions and difficulties. So it is not at all easy. It is, in fact, very difficult.
전부 코 박으면 강바지나 다샤면도 셈 간주 먼저 상도 당 초고래 루부게 수배 다 야마 그joka 잡투로 거때 인자 거다거 거기 미벌스 때는 신의 고민이 다셈 정보를 류 정보로 제단 당부 하길래시라 카가 요래 제단 정안에 대발에 그 띵이들 대발에 고수도 된데 카가 요래서
The prisoner bound in prison is only constrained to be physically inside, and they are allowed their roving thoughts, and they can move their body about to some degree. In the fixity of concentrated meditation for a shamatha, calm abiding, the physical body is in a fixed state. The mind is fixedly engaged. Both are. And in this way, this is more difficult than to be physically bound as a prisoner.
네, 이내 곧 신의 곧 that is about Tango, Baniba, but so much do call you. And that we young dry you, Vajarwa. And then you do call, and that same they are chill, dry you do. What Tango Gange, you're the in call Gange the past, you would say, same, and the devil was dry, Chajima, we over that. And that Mutuni never chiku. Oh, they send you the remote so I don't magic. And when you were to a lot, there's Kali, took Chimu Madrimna, you want to go meba. There's Chimu Jim Gugu, but send you that you made it to see Jami Basons.
But through the stages toward shamatha, through the first and the second and the third stages, gradually the mind becomes more and more open and is released, and accompanying this is an increasing sensation of mental satisfaction and bliss. And this process promotes this transformation toward increasing openness and satisfaction through the continued engagement with the object. But as is indicated by these early bonfires, without energetic application in the beginning, success is not possible, thus the presence of these fires.
Oh, yeah, that around that had them the Yabga Kares, no, that Kandar Suzuki, Mu, Nijen, Samotang, and teach it to Rubjadi Samotang. Oh, today into the Mata Suzuki, Pena Sedigi Suzuki, Lune Dedang, Samotang, and Lu the same Dedang, Samotang in a young, in the Gomet, Hajang Pendo Chimbu Yoba, in the Yoba Rangi Shemba. That Tendang so mudi, that you get Shinen Hadon to Verwa, Shinen Hadon to Veshi into Mu Chimburwa. Then mudi the Samotang, and it teach you to the Rangi to look at Zoa Chiku Yobata. And it's over Chidu and Barana, Mateo, and we were the Zo Shembache, and it's Suzuki same Jimjin. That's Chikoya Mangu or Chetan Gidi. Mona, that is Tangish Turbache, some of good resonance.
To put it pointedly, one must be certain regarding what is the definite objective of the process. And that goal and objective is the satisfaction and the comfort that is physical and is mental, that results from the process. So one would recognize what one's goal is. And the ultimate objective is the achievement of a calm abiding with the special insight which goes along with it. But to this end, one must recognize that it requires great physical effort, and going along with this physical effort necessarily are the discomforts. But through these, one would remain concentrated and would do so through their continued study and contemplation, which are required.
Oh, yeah, that is the Yoya Tabshe Zindala, Midi La Wallace, Tawas to a Didan, Toys to a D, that Peugeot down to a chair, some down to a chibures, and La Waye de la Shabbat Kido, Shabbat, Temba Tender Lamba, La Waye de la, and the Jagju Kido, Jagudi, that Shishin Tender, Jetan Temba, the Shishin Butigi, Laga Chigi Chibures.
Mindfulness and vigilant introspection would be employed, and you would find a way to make these applicable to yourself, as has been described. In the right hand of the bhikshu is a lasso that symbolizes the mindfulness involved, and in the left is the hook symbolizing the vigilant introspection. And as one goes, one would ply these two, mindfulness and their vigilant introspection.
Oh, I do the explanation by this.
And others?
Yeah.
So I've had, I think, some experiences of satisfaction and peace while sitting. And sometimes I feel like the pressure to get up and go to work, or is there a recommended period, like once reaching this stage? And then also, is that quiet or satisfaction possibly subtle torpor?
Is there some period recommended?
Yeah, like an hour.
that's all. Samotane, 직제나 펼칠, 영이나 하람, 아니 곰 갭네, 아니 가초르, 당 아니 팁데는 라고 톱에 접다 틱 아니 종요로 아니 디 시와다 아니 가초르디 아니 lep나야 디네 알랭이 레게 심바치 책 오그래 아니 레콩나 로고 거기도 삼 아니 삼네 아니 덕바 가르사게 들랍나 다 아니 튼라 아니 링세 녜첸 덴더 여르베 직제 어들
야, 수수기 셈나 딱 간주 가데 그때 또하게 어디시라 개침으로 간주 있는 딱 당보물로
오나 다 원다 데니 디 서로 가서 가데 이 서로 디당 디 아니 진화 아니 참어 아니 이나
정원 참모도 달라 정원 참모는 여 가로야 줘 정원 참모 가들리그서 셈미발 파 저는 땡에 들는 가로 전부 tempo 차도 잠바 아니 가로 템포 차차도 잠바 아니 신의 정원리가 변해 가도 셈 내템 나는 제바이나 정원 참모디 이게 시방아와 거들리기도 와 나와 가도 정원 참모 디바는 봐도 정원 참모리가 말해 정원 나와 가도 정원 참모리가 그래서 정원 뒤뒤 좀 정원 참모 다 정원 참모다 땡에 지이데 냠도 분이 정원 참모다 땡에 지이데 분이 민파 찍바 아니 간다를 위로 죽단 자올 찍바 요바이다 분이 랩기요 때 이내 정원 참모디 셈네 나와서 만들 얘기 말해 디고는 정원 라빨 얘기를 레스로와 아디레 다 이내 수수셈 건데 거기 땡에 들어 봐셈 미벌 내 차네 아니 셈나는 좋아다 이 좀바들 레바이나 디 타코 내자도 셈기 내자도 야불 랩기요 레스 찍소
아니 심기 내치 가들러기래 아니 약고치 가들러기래
셈기 내자도 이게 또 이게 강내야만 렉 맞다 셈기 내자 레바디 이게 디네르다 당보 셈네 니번은 셈 미벌 내자들 렉게 말다 미벌 네버 총알 다 숨바 시바다 나와네 아니 셈기 내자다 셈기 내자 렉게 아니 네 셈비야 다 내자다 세자 주가가야다 셈네 나와 두 번에 만들 때 두 말아서
Yes. The subtle torpor sets in later stages only, after considerable progress already, when the mind is really engaged in its object. In the stages of placing the mind, it is only in the fourth and the fifth stages that any subtle torpor sets in. As it is, this is the case for the reason that subtle torpor shares the same object as the mental absorption, the Samadhi. They share a common object, and their mode of engagement with the object is similar. So the subtle torpor is not present before the fourth and the fifth stages of placing the mind. before those stages, leading to those stages for establishing mental absorption, considerable application is required. It is only after the fourth, fifth stages that there is any stability aspect to the meditation at those stages, and afterwards there are the stability and the clarity aspects in the fifth and the sixth. But before that, there's no stability aspect. It is actually a mere engagement.
다른 거 들어가는 중기 생애 전생도 생애 전세대다 뭐 당고 검 당고제도 주주 가져 틀류 전에 살지 니 숨전에 주주 야고야 개천 보세 아니 되네 미국발 생각 생 미국발 하나 도스네 투바 되게 중국 연구되나 아니 때스 유르는 다지 다 수주고 거기 정화도 그거 매배 토는 셈네 투고도나 아니 가서 유르는 거 내기는 네 투고 저거를 해서
그래서 아니 정말다 아니 그거부터 매나 근데
셈
같이 링와 아니 뭔가 이야기로
야 그럼
regarding the a prescribed regarding a definite length that the meditation should have at the outset of meditation. Generally, the shorter sessions, the better, and that is very constructive. After one becomes capable of remaining engaged with the object of awareness, then one may extend the length of the period. When the time comes that neither excitement nor torpor set in at all, then best to extend the period as long as possible.
이거다 지금 저 제시 제일 잡이 세도 다 정화다 고발래도 정화래서나 그냥 거기에 띵이지 미고 팔려냐 미코는 샤고야 저거다 고발래나 아니 셈마 마파 야 파고도 정화래나 야 셈이야 토르 방 토르 땅 거야겠다 디 르바디 제일 샤야 그나 되잖아 샤요래서
And as I mentioned, there are explanations that naturally will come later, and they have to do with torpor and excitement when they set in. That when a torpor sets in, then the mind must release itself from the object of engagement and then return itself to that object. And when excitement sets in, the dispersed attention of the mind must concentrate and return itself to the object.
얘다 만에 검자운데 당분 내제제 내제야 오제 투수는 내제 세우 차수는 아니 세제때 아니 세제야 올래서는 아니 세제는 나르당 아니 되게 치고였다고 림바만 위여러 와서
So it is, the progression is to pursue the stability aspect of the meditation first. When an aspect of stability to the meditation is achieved, then one would enhance the aspect of the meditation's clarity. And when this is accomplished, then one would intensify the meditation.
되게 좀 미국도 가서 세자는 공개하는 세자다 말자다 아니 되네 고발래나 셈마시 파고하다 아니 정말래나야 셈팡토로 땅 거야다 아니 간다 그 팡토로 땅 아니 투 링도장 맞아 주가 되셔 와라 그래 손으시
and later we will exercise the meditations in mental absorption to show the aspect of its clarity and the aspect of its stability, and to exercise the practice of when excitement sets in, subduing or depressing the mind, retarding the mind, and when torpor sets in, re-elevating the mind or re-inclining the mind. Then if there are no questions, then we can recite our closing prayers.
So oftentimes, the beginning of the meditation, it's very kind of pick an object, this energy to focus on it. So along these stages, does it resolve itself, or which along these path, does it get resolved, or how does that transform?
Does it resolve itself? Does that mean that that object would select itself?
Training the mind to be focused, but eventually you want that object to be resolved, so you don't really rely on a physical object. You want to be at a stage where your mind is free. But does that happen? Where does that happen along this path?
Tadane gom gyabya ti kotsu pe tsamdela dambo ane mikpe te sasik damgurwa damne pena ane damgyu yi da sangegi kutek kunyinsik ane mikpa te sati damne tene gom gyayoro tad chela ane tes di lamgi tat dela ane lebne ane kunyin sangegi ku ane mar ku trelne mikpa tesa trelne ane mikpa mes ane mesala mikpa yangmena di da mikpa teso meba tene chik ane rangsingi lagirebe
동번이 고민 거는 봐도 그래서 나 당분간도 미국 쌤 미국 내 두야 지도라 미국 제고 미국 다 수수기 직 수수도다 배당아도 출국 수수 공 최진이 수수기 출국 돈에 미국 재단들에 민자와들에 요래 아니 수수도기 한 되면 돈에 미국 가르치는 한 수수 가르쳐 되어도 나들 미국 전에 미국 고민 근데 자기만고 여러 직송
going that route might go along into shunyata, and at the early stage, the emphasis is upon establishing an engagement with an object, and various traditions recommend various objects, and that variety will be reflected in the variety of objects. The variety of traditions will be reflected in the variety of objects that one may begin with, as well as the faith and devotion involved in meditation, which will have to do with the objects that are selected.
아구다 산제 고들을 미니시네 주바들에 방송 송요 다지도 수수 미버 수수 되면진데 다이네 아주 단다 얘기 단다 마시야 대만 제바 있는 다 미국이 또 산지 꾸트지 미국도 있나 아니 야고 이봐 송요래서
So it is said that in meditation upon a rock or the earth, one may achieve an absorption, as well as upon the form of a Buddha. This will be determined by an individual's interest and devotion. What I refer to now, the text I refer to now, describes the advantages to selecting an image of the Buddha as the object of meditation.
하여튼 그 주원이와 수니와 또디 미국이 바발라도 세주로 다들 코 수수가 땡이지 곰네 셈기 내자당 대주 파게 딱 한다 곰 규르무 찬 아니 수수가 미국 파게 직다 땡이지 답변나 데리러 다시 먼저 있는 당보 미국 당보 셈기 미국도 말라와서 템부제 셈내 투야 지도 셈도 버칠라 마토로 나라 내 투야 답시 전달 미국 찍을 상로 땅 전에 아니 미국 찍고더라 말라와 전에 아니 셈배 유럽의 투야 윤투 투야 아니 딜라데는 템바데 버 슈처 땅돈 아니 템바데기 이게 내가 되게 슈첨부 요하나 전달 아니 시신되게 내가 제일 다 두시는 파가 공부야 올래서나 아니 미국 수수비 하나 미국 파 매버체다 아니 미국 라도 되게 자기 여러 이내 예버도 되게 미국 매버들이 차고 말해서
Addressing the second part of your question having to do with removing or losing the object of meditation. At the outset of meditation, in an effort to find the aspect of the meditation's stability and the aspect of its clarity, an object is chosen so that that object may be the basis for an attention that is sustained in its engagement with that object. The exercise being in ensuring that nowhere along the way is the object lost, but that the engagement with the object remains continuous. And as it does, that mindfulness may be intensified, and that for the effect of the meditation of vigilant introspection may be intensified. That's our concern. Regarding the removal of the object of meditation, there are conditions supportive of this, but one hasn't got to do this.
딱 이거 수수기 당무 수수기다 공부부 수수기 당무 셈 내배 탑시 전달을 당아서 당무 탑시지 아니 셈 내부 중찬에 아니 양 미국 가르치 부자고도 아니 미국 매버치고도 수수다 수수 냠용도 내용 그래서 당무 당아서 다다 개체셔도 당무 검고주 어디서 미국을 셈 미국을 내 맞춰야 돼 맞아 강에 친구 여러 와디 당부 강에 세야 전달 따단다 대시 망고 뒤도 뒤든다 제가 요래서
This has to do with each particular meditator, and that a meditator will attempt first to actually abide in an engagement with the object. Having achieved the abiding in the object, then they might choose to alternate the object of the meditation or remove the object. At the beginning in the process of meditation, when one is incapable of abiding in the object of awareness, the exercise is to actually abide in it. Might we wrap up here then, as the time has come to do so, and recite our closing prayers?
oye, ta kanda di remote di yusu ha kizin yu ma ja je ani des chi le nya chen ne remote la tagi chen ne gom jabe susu gom ja ji gozu ani gom ja gozu na ne remote la ta ja kanda de su sem la le begin kama nga gongwe la kama chu so ba gong tue la kama chu gongwe la kama chong as ba gong tue mi ba la ba ne ya ge ani pe chen do che tu na ani ya go yo re so
Now with this illustration in hand, as you go, don't toss it, but keep it near at hand and refer to it as you actually begin to meditate. And if ordinarily you meditate for 5 minutes, now meditate for 10. Or if you meditate for 10 already, meditate now for 15. And and meditate so that you engage and to abide in the object of your meditation.
oye ni da chemane ma yan anda di da to dom to jem da ma zo sem ne ta ki ting jing gu di ani top thu da yi chi shi da da di zu tu no da da su ru ru se je ne gom ja da de shi ga du da chema ke ju che so
And next week, allow us to summarize this material that involves the 9 stages of placing the mind and the 6 forces and the 4 applications and the rest, which we will summarize then again next week.
oye den tere na zu na de yin so
And now we will recite our closing verse.
ene rendu bele so nye kadar yang ba ta shi sa ba de lo me ma re ji don ro wa yi na re je we wang bo da ju ji de ma sun be te ra kun du yang jang be yang je se we je zo ne Tembe rinpa kusan lan je sho, nye ne rube je na nye je sho. Rangi chi shin tobe lam je ne, shu ra tsewe chanwe chage ge. Rove yi je mba se je ne, yawe temba yu rin zin yu chi. Temba rin jen cho je ma jaba, chab jan nyambara gyurwe cho de ne. Niji chebe yi raba keba yi, pede teje sewar cheba sho. Seje jawe menjon chele le, lendrum chanju lanje rembe yang. Tadu nanje yi la pede je, yawe zeba rendo jongire je. Lanzan rube tujin ruje je, yege seje medam me go. Sera kundu jawe ngaba yi, namda lamdan trewa ma gyurje, kanse teba shola shujuje, sujin rula zumba diye, tude namje tatu chojeje, tashi gyazu chugun kyagyu.
From my 2 collections, vast space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may have become the lead-cheating Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of the paths of the complete teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings, with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I offer this treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those that wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's needs be nourished for a long time by following the complete graduated path to enlightenment and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Taki
Jinye
ji
sabe gewa di tendan rowa kuna kampenta Chevara jesu losa raba yi tembe nyimbo rendo seche sho Kare rawe korwe shingambe pendan dewa malu chombe Chere sewa tenzen gyatso yi shabe side barde tengyurchi Jambe bawo jindar kemba tang kundu sambo te yang te jinde Tenda kunje jesu talo je Gewa tenda tamje rato Peso chebe gewa tamje ge Ngowa kanla chote ngapa Dage kewe tsawa dikun kyang Sambo chuje rado ngowara je Chanchu semcho rembo she Maje bana ge kyo je Kewa nyamba meba yang Kone kondo pewara sho
and dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and the sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa, that shines forever. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful Chinmaya and counsel. Please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra to realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious less gone ones of the three times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen rise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Thank you all.